I got some stamp on my skirt, so don't mind that from my hand. Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me here today. It honestly feels surreal that I get to stand in front of you and share my story as a 21-year-old who's still figuring it out. I'm just a girl, really, but I've lived, felt deeply, and I think that counts for something. Have you ever felt like you had to be okay just so the people around you wouldn't worry? Like if you showed too much emotion, you'd come off as dramatic, or if you showed too little, you'd seem cold or ungrateful. I grew up with that quiet pressure to be strong, to be composed, not fall apart, especially in front of others. But in the past few years, I've started asking myself, what if being soft is a kind of strength? That's what I want to talk about today, the pressure to always appear strong and what it's meant for me to start letting go of that. A lot of that pressure started in childhood, especially in my relationship with my dad. As many traditional Asian men, he's a perfectionist, and I grew up watching how much he valued hard work, discipline, and resilience. He'd say things like, always do your best, or take every opportunity. And I did. I smiled through things, I worked hard, I said yes to every opportunity, including the one that brought me to Reunion Island today. And I'm grateful for that. His mindset has shaped who I am, but somewhere along the way, do your best started to sound like don't mess up, and take every opportunity started to feel like don't slow down. Eventually, I started applying his expectations to how I handled my emotions too. As the youngest daughter, and definitely the more emotional one, I was often called sensitive, overreacting, or dramatic. So I started holding things in. If I felt upset, I'd talk myself out of it. If I wanted to cry, I'd wait until I was alone. And little by little, I learned to hide the parts of me that didn't look strong. But I misunderstood what strength really meant. I thought it meant staying quiet about what hurt. I thought it meant being easy to be around and smiling even when I didn't feel okay. Looking back, my depression started in elementary school. I was still a kid, but I already felt this heaviness. I didn't have the words for it yet, and I didn't know how to ask for help. So I didn't. At home, emotions weren't really talked about. So when I felt sad or overwhelmed, I kept it to myself. But as I got older, I started turning to my friends instead. They became the people I leaned on, not just to laugh with, but to survive with. I depended on them to hold everything I didn't know how to hold alone. At first, it felt like safety. But eventually, I leaned too hard, and understandably, it got too heavy for them too. In high school, some of the people that were closest to me said they needed space. One of them even said it felt like a weight lifted off my chest. That stuck with me. Not the words, but the feelings behind them. It reinforced what I had always been told. Too emotional, dramatic, and hard to be around. That moment really changed me. It taught me that if I wanted to keep people close, I had to keep my feelings small. That love was something you had to earn by being easy and by being fine. So I adapted. I closed myself off not only to my family, but to everyone else, including myself. I became a quieter, lighter version of myself, and even when I was surrounded by people, I felt completely alone. Because when you're constantly pretending to be okay, you eventually start forgetting what it feels like to be real. I wish I could tell you there was one big turning point, one moment where everything clicked and I stopped pretending. But that's not how it happened. There wasn't a clear before and after. It was more subtle and gradual and messy. And honestly, it's still happening. But over the past few years, I've started letting certain people in, starting with my mom. Growing up, it didn't even occur to me to go to her with my emotions. It isn't just something I considered. I didn't want to worry her, and deep down, I didn't really think she would understand. But over time, something shifted. We started having real conversations, not just about what I was doing, but about how I was actually feeling. And to my surprise, she listened. She didn't fix it. She didn't always know what to say, but she accepted and continued loving me for exactly who I am. Then when I started realizing, maybe I don't have to hide everything to be loved. And then there were the friends who stayed, the ones who didn't flinch when I told the truth. They'd never said I was too much. They simply sat with me in it and saw me for who I am. It took me a long time to understand that being vulnerable doesn't guarantee closeness, but it does show you who's willing to show up. And that takes real strength. Becoming someone who can say, I'm not okay today, and still know that I'm worthy of love. I'm not perfect at it. I still shrink sometimes and mask things out of habit. But I've come to understand that strength isn't about having no cracks. It's about letting light through the ones that you do have. So here's what I've learned and what I'm still learning. Strength doesn't always look like resilience on the outside. Sometimes it looks like letting someone in when it's easier to shut down. It's being honest about what you need and staying soft in the world that keeps asking you to harden. I used to think strength meant being fine all the time, being unbothered, productive, put together. I thought I had to be that version of myself to be loved, but that version of strength was never mine. The kind of strength I believe in now is quieter. It's being real even when that feels risky. It's showing up as your full self without apology. So I'll leave you with this. What does strength look like for you when no one's watching? Are you willing to show up as that version of yourself, even if it's not perfect? I'm still learning to love that version of me, and to me, that's what redefining strength is all about. Thank you.